Well, as I say, she's nicknamed Doris. She's big and ugly, but we love her.
God, this is snug, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, how'd you get out? Welcome to WW2 headquarters with me, Al Murray, here at the Tank Museum, and I'm joined at this beautiful Grant tank by one of the volunteers. Will, but you're not just a volunteer in the sort of more precise sense of it, that you maybe help me park my car and show me where the toilets are.
But I've been volunteering here for nearly 19 years.
Yeah.
And then I got more involved on the other side of the museum, on the trustee side and so forth. But actually the other fun bit of it is that I own a few of these, which is quite fun.
And so your volunteering extends to having your vehicles here at the museum?
Yeah, I mean, I started off like everybody else here. We have a fantastic number of volunteers. They do everything, sweeping the floor to just making events like tomorrow's Tiger Day run smoothly and man vehicles. But then I've been lucky enough to be able to start acquiring vehicles, and the idea here is that the things I'm trying to do is to collect vehicles for the museum running collection that we don't have running here. So with my long involvement with the museum, the plan is to fill the gaps, and it's quite fun having them and restoring them over many years. So
yeah, amazing. Fun. And I mean, how many tanks have you got in your portfolio? Is that the right word for it? Collection?
I have to admit to 8.
8?
I can't tell you all of them.
No, of course not.
Couple of coming out soon.
Okay, fantastic. And this grant, M3 grant, you said it's, before we spoke earlier, it's come from Australia.
Yeah, a very nice gentleman called Rob Loudon. He's got his artillery and armour museum in Australia. There's quite a few grants ended up in Australia at the end of the war and because of the Burma campaign. So approached him and said, look, we really could do with one here for the running collection for the museum. I'm mad enough to try and get one, and we did a sort of vehicle swap and various things, and he said, okay, you can have one of mine, and we organised it, and it arrived last year, and it had its debut in end of June here. And so the first time running, it'd been a static for 10 years. They'd done a great job, but we hadn't got it running, and we had 5 weeks to get it going. And it worked, which is huge.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And like, how much actual sort of work did it record? Did you have to take it apart?
No, I mean, it basically works on the final drive, work on the engine, new fuel tank, check the electrics, and basically reduce electrics to make them safe, just for running and starting and stopping, and check all that stuff. So basically it can run safely. Yeah. And in the future, what we want to do is then, second phase would be to take it all apart, fully restore the interior, and put it all back together again. Yeah. And that's the idea.
And the thing with the grant as well, I think that, I mean, people who know their tanks know this, that this is sort of like a tadpole version of the Sherman.
Yes,
right?
it is.
That it's at some point going to like turn into a Sherman tank, but it's not quite there yet, right?
Exactly right. Sort of morphing into something that we vaguely recognise. But as I say, she's nicknamed Doris. She's big and ugly, but we love her.
because I mean, the turret, there is a turret, but it's got this 37mm cannon, and the main armament is 75. And when these first turned up in the desert for the British, they've got a gun with a bigger punch, but they're also very tall, and wide open spaces in the desert. That's
your problem, isn't it? I mean, that
ideal.
Is the problem. No, it's not. I mean, it's a stopgap. I mean, nobody quite worked out how to put a 75 into a turret.
Yeah.
And so I think the stopgap was to sort of look what the French had done earlier in the war, and then get this going. And I suppose it was good. You had high explosives coming here, but of course, if you fight a tank, it's best to be hulled down with a big gun just poking over the top of something, as opposed to exposing the whole tank to be able to use that weapon.
Yeah. I mean, you're very, very exposed. I mean, one of the things about it, when the British crews first get it, is they say how roomy it is inside, don't they?
It is roomy, but actually, I'm always surprised it was less roomy than I thought. But there's 6 people in there.
6?
6. There's 2 gunners.
Right.
2 loaders, a driver and a commander.
Of course, because we've got two guns.
Yeah, so actually, you're sitting astride the final drive as a driver. That's the most room, but getting through, it's not as easy as you would have first imagined, because you've got ammo racks everywhere.
Yeah, and getting out, I imagine.
Well, I'll never forget, somebody once said, why have they deleted the side doors? Well, it's better to sort of not let the shells in than getting out. So obviously the side doors are great for getting in and out, but not very good for protection.
So this is one of the vehicles in your collection. Over here, though, this M5 Stuart.
Yeah.
Is also, this is another one of yours, isn't it, Will? And it's the M5 rather than the M3, which people might be more familiar with the honey of the desert area.
Well, we have one, and in fact, that's been swapped for this one from my collection,
right,
which has basically been running for about 7 years, and we're just doing a bit of a refit because she's worked really hard. And so we're lucky enough to have got this. It's currently an American livery. French collector very kindly sold it to us. We will hope to convert it to British livery in due course, because obviously this is the British Tank Museum, so we should. But it's interesting, the M3 obviously had a radial engine, 7-cylinder radial engine, and boxy armour. Obviously people learned a few things, and sloped armour, better crew space. Unfortunately the same small gun, which isn't, by the time this was built, wasn't very effective. But it's fast, and they managed to jam in two V8 Cadillac engines into the back of this thing.
Really?
By overlapping slightly, they're just really rammed in there. So quite extraordinary.
One driving each side, or
basically they come together and they have one final drive. So at the end of the day, it's very fast, and I think the crews liked it. It was fast, roomy. Later in the war, they took the turrets off and just had them as open sort of reconnaissance vehicles.
Command and reconnaissance vehicles. Commander.
So. Yeah, it's nice to be able to show the public these, because it is a bit of a sort of Darwinian thing when you look at tanks, how they developed in such a short time.
Yeah, exactly, and also these do have features in common. The suspensions with the bogies, you know, these detachable bogies.
The volute spring suspension, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially on both these tanks and on the Sherman.
I think originally it was a tractor design.
Right.
And the good thing about it is, I suppose, if they are blown off, whatever, you can bolt another one on. Obviously not as good for speed and other things as torsion bar suspension, but it's very much 1930s design, it's evolving, and that's the last of that sort of design. And then the next one after this obviously was a Chaffee, kept the engines, bigger vehicle, but that had torsion bar suspension.
Right. I mean, if you had to pick a favourite, come on, because you got two beautiful vehicles. Although, as you said, this is sort of
that's a pleasure to drive. It's automatic, it's point and fire, and it's very fast and good fun.
Right.
This old girl, she's bloody hard work to drive, but quite fun really as well. It's just extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing.
I think it's just quite fun for the public to see them going, because
see these running.
Yeah, because it brings it to life, and the Darwinian sort of evolution, I think, is part of the fun, and hearing them, seeing them. So it's a stupid hobby, but what the hell.
I don't know. I don't think
it's interesting.
It's interesting, and interesting is better than stupid, right? Well,
yeah,
exactly. No, I think it's amazing that you've got this running. I mean, it's a peculiar beast.
It's extraordinary. It's like a large wedding cake, really. It just keeps going on and up. And the American one, obviously, the Lee had a smaller turret, but then it had a mini turret on top.
Yeah.
So it's an even another layer on top.
Yeah.
But I think we decided not to do that at the Brits.
And thicker armour on the turret and the Grant, apparently.
Was it?
Just
really?
by a little bit.
Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't know that.
I mean, this is a Grant, not a Lee, because after all, Grants and Lees, you'd be, at a glance, you'd be forgiven for not knowing the difference.
You would. I mean, of course, the Americans developed it as a Lee. It had a smaller turret at the top and the radio in the bottom. Yeah. British didn't like the high silhouette, even though it's extremely high as a Grant. And the turret on the Grant has a bulge on the back where you actually have a radio that commander can reach and use. So I think you'll see at the back there is a bulge. It's a slightly lower, squatter turret, but same armament.
But that's all to do with putting the commander in charge rather than someone inside.
Someone downstairs.
Reporting what he's been told to say.
Exactly.
The guy actually saying.
I think that was the reasoning behind it.
Now, would there be any chance of, a ride in the...
Well, I might do. If you're nice to me.
Well, I think I've thrown you some softball questions.
All right then. Yeah, of course you can. No,
well,
they'll be delighted.
That would be absolutely amazing, because the thing is, the British love this tank.
Yes, I think they did.
That's what's interesting about it, and because it's reliable, it's quick, and even though it's not particularly well armed, they stick with it, and it stays as a recce tank.
It's a very good recce tank, and it's fast, and you can get out of trouble quick.
And it does very well in Burma as well. They do very well
absolutely.
In the collapse in Burma.
Well, again, you've got Japanese tanks weren't the match for you didn't need heavy armour, although these were quite good there, but those were a match for most Japanese vehicles. So no, welcome. I hope you enjoy it.
God, it's snug, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, how'd you get out? Oh! This thing is a beast, isn't it? Look at it, it's a monster. And you can help bring this monster back to life. Go to the Tank Museum website and chip in, why not? Just want to reiterate, this never happens. Yeah, cash. There we go. I'll have that bit.